Welcome to our 5th Tepastorm Shadowverse meta snapshot. Shadowverse's 14th card set, Verdant Conflict, was released on September 25th. The introduction of the new Natura support package has quite literally taken over the meta by storm. The core of the package, Natura Great Tree, cycles through your deck. This gives you far more consistency while also gaining other benefits, such as triggering the powerful effect from Lubel Necro family, or simply adding to the last words count for Thoth, or sometimes all three synergizing with each other. These factors have allowed varieties of Natura decks to take over Tier 1 and 2 in this month's Tepastorm Shadowverse meta snapshot, pushing powerful decks that have dominated the Rebirth of Glory expansion into the lower half of the spectrum, with the exception of Natura Haven. Before we reveal the latest developments in the Verdant Conflict meta, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the latest Tepastorm news and Shadowverse content. Now, let's begin. Havencraft is back at the top of Tier 1, but not by the healing powers of Alana. Natura Haven is the new king of the hill in the Verdant Conflict. Unlike past Tier 1 decks, Natura Haven has no unfavorable matchups, and trades blows evenly with Natura Shadow, the number 2 deck in this month's meta snapshot. The amulet aspect of the Natura Great Tree as a Havencraft mechanic makes it easy to activate the effect of Destiny Wing Knight, in combination with the easy to invoke City of Gold. Cards such as Sneak Attack, Saintly Squeaks, and Agnes Hollow Feather give cheap and reliable storm damage, especially when combined with Craving Splendor for a frightening 8 damage. Cal Holy Marksman makes a return and is joined by the new Priest of Excess as effective removal options. All these factors make Natura Haven well-rounded and deadly, a deck truly worthy of the top spot. In the runner-up spot, we have Natura Shadow, another Natura-centric deck. Similar to how Havencraft can double dip into the amulet aspect of the Natura Great Tree as part of their class identity, Natura Shadow benefits from each Natura Great Tree having a last words effect, and generates shadows for necromancy effects. Natura Shadow's main Natura enabler is Lubel Necro family, a card that further generates shadows for Asia Underworld Sovereign, and last word effects count to enable Thoth. Other high-valued cards such as Helio, Sacrosanct Spirit, and Knight of the Living Dog helps Natura Shadow build and control a board while working towards the Thoth win condition. The final deck featured in Tier 1 is none other than Roach Forest. The deck has been lurking around since the introduction of Whirlwind Renasicroach, but lacked bounce cards for the consistency. Verdant Conflict reintroduced Airbound Barrage, a staple Forestcraft bounce and removal, which Essia predicted would make Roach Forest competitive again in a preview article. Along with the reprint of Airbound Barrage, Roach Forest also gained an additional removal option in the form of Gourmet Emperor's Kitchen. The one-turn kill nature of Roach Forest is likely to act as a check against slower decks, such as Natura Shadow, as well as other less refined decks in the meta. Be sure to check out Essia's Roach Guide in the Shadowverse section of our website. Natura Haven only lost one card from the recent rotation, De La Fille Gem Princess, but this loss reduced the deck's endurance in longer matches. Alana also retains its core weakness, a reliance on Alana Purist Prayer on curve, which makes the deck less consistent than your average Natura deck. While Natura Haven has an even matchup against the new Natura Haven, Natura Shadow can easily handle buffed Alana followers, with tools such as Lubel Necro family and Verdia Magna. Roach Forest has a lot of removal, and can usually combo down the relatively slow Natura Haven deck. Despite the meta working against Natura Haven, the deck is still relatively easy to pilot, and can beat other newer archetypes. For players who may not yet want to commit to crafting the new Natura Haven deck, if you're expecting nerfs by side games, the deck is still strong enough for dailies and general laddering. Natura Forest is overshadowed by its Roach counterpart. It trades a favorable matchup against Natura Shadow for a slight performance boost against Natura Haven, although the deck is still slightly unfavored. Its relative slowness and dependence on Omnis Prime Okami by turn 7 puts this deck at a disadvantage against Roach Forest. Natura Sword may have suboptimal matchups across the board, but it is considered favored against both Natura Shadow and Roach Forest, two popular Tier 1 decks in the current meta. While this deck has core Natura cards such as Tempered Aether and Desert Pathfinder, this does not have as many Natura enablers as the Tier 1 decks. The only Natura powered card in this archetype is Swift Tigress. with the inclusion of Leod Crescent Blade and the ability for Balion to generate King's Might. This deck can deliver either threatening sword damage via Albert Levin Champion and Missalina Forest Princess, or an ambush-centric game plan similar to Ambush Sword from the last expansion. Dragoncraft players were excited last month with the reveal of Valdane Cursed Shadow and Neptune Tide Mistress. The cards appeared strong enough to bring Dragoncraft back to competitive relevance in the form of Natura Dragon. Unfortunately, in practice, Natura Dragon was unable to live up to the hype and ended up finding itself near the bottom of Tier 2. This is still a great improvement over Dragoncraft's performance in the last expansion. Faster decks in the meta make it difficult for Dragoncraft players to safely ramp and play the slower game plan that is part of its class identity. Lastly, Artifact Portal finds itself at the bottom of Tier 2 in this month's meta snapshot. The deck is still quite powerful, as adept at wiping boards as always, and still has a plethora of viable win conditions. The deck can certainly find more than middling success on the latter. However, the current metagame is not as friendly as it could be towards Artifact Portal. Many of the top decks in the meta are aggressive, or use uninteractive win conditions, both of which Artifact Portal can struggle against. At the moment, there is no clear counter to Natura Haven. The Natura package gives the deck consistency, with Daffodil Mayo's Princess generating a Storm token to make up for the tempo loss. It has high burst damage potential from hand and tools to handle many situations. Natura Shadow is a viable alternative for ladder play, with only a weakness to Roach Forest, and can stand toe-to-toe with Natura Haven. If you're not finding as many Natura Haven players, then switching over to Roach Forest is advised, due to stronger overall matchups beside Natura Haven. In conclusion, the upper echelon of the Verdant Conflict meta ended up seemingly solved in just a span of 2 weeks, with Natura Haven, Natura Shadow, and Roach Forest showing clear dominance over other decks in the meta. There is certainly room for the Tier 1 list to shuffle next month, especially given that Natura Shadow has seen even more popularity after the most recent Rage qualifiers, and the composition of this list is still going through changes. While there may be class diversity in Tier 1 and 2, most of them revolve around the Natura package, which makes the decks feel generally similar. Natura Haven may not be as oppressive to the meta as pre-nerf Vengeance Blood at the beginning of the Rebirth of Glory meta, but the win rate advantage of a player going first over going second is once again starting to widen. Side games have made balance decisions in the past to bring the two numbers closer to each other. If balance changes are to be made, hopefully we can see a wider variety of decks being played. Be sure to keep an eye on the upcoming Contenders Cup to see how top players pilot through this brand new meta. For now, what is your opinion about the new Shadowverse Verdant Conflict expansion? What decks have you been encountering? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the latest Tempest Storm news and Shadowverse content. Thanks for watching.